Am I the a-hole for banning visits with my son's bio-grandparents after they ambushed him with his birth mother? I will try to keep the backstory basic. My brother was married to a woman called Kathy. They were both addicts who entered recovery when they had a son, Freddie. When Freddie was 5, my brother passed away. Kathy relapsed. My husband and I got custody of Freddie when he was 6 and later adopted him. He is now 12. We have tried to keep a relationship between Freddie and his maternal grandparents, Pam and Joe, and Freddie goes to see them once a month to spend the day and sometimes an overnight with them. Pam and Joe have brought up that Kathy has been clean for over a year and they'd like to reintroduce her to Freddie's life. We've said no to this because Freddie was in therapy and his therapist has shared that he has some extremely negative feelings towards Kathy. We've never shared this with Pam and Joe because it's not their business. We've just said no, the time isn't right. Last weekend, we dropped Freddie off, intending he would spend the day there, and we took our daughter to nearby riding school. After about an hour, we get a call from Freddie saying we need to pick him up because Kathy is there. We rush over to the house to find him, Joe, and Pam outside arguing. It devolves into chaos, with Joe and Pam trying to convince Freddie to come inside while berating me. Then Kathy came outside and the arguing got worse. Eventually, Freddie started shouting at Kathy and she started sobbing and we took that opportunity to leave. Joe and Pam called and texted, but I ignored them for a couple of days while we calmed down. When we called, we told them we will no longer be allowing Freddie to visit them. They betrayed our trust, and the things they said about us and to us were heinous. We said we are done with them for the foreseeable future. They pleaded with us, but we held firm. We've blocked them from Freddie's phone, but we're keeping the line open with us because we want to collect evidence of their harassment just in case. Kathy has reached out begging for contact with Freddie, and we have ignored that as well. Family advice is split. Some say we've done the right thing, some say we should allow supervised contact. Freddie has said he would see them again, but not Kathy, but we just don't feel we can guarantee that. We've never got along well with Pam and Joe, and I don't know if that is clouding our judgment, and I know that this is the only link he has to Kathy's side of the family, but on the other hand, Freddie was in tears for hours and having nightmares after seeing Kathy. Am I the a-hole for thinking enough is enough?
Not the a-hole. Pam, Joe, and Kathy are huge a-holes. Kathy clearly traumatized Freddie. She is going to have to live with that. As much as I get a mother wanting to see her child again, that child's well-being trumps any of her needs. Her choices made her a danger to him. She is going to have to live with the consequences. Pam and Joe have clearly demonstrated that they place their adult, addict daughter above their grandson. They are also going to have to deal with the consequences of their choices.
We had a similar situation in our family. A mom completely bailed on her kids, then years later wanted to resume visitation. She was required to attend reunification counseling so there could be a determination as to whether seeing her would be in the kids' best interests. If you ever decide Kathy should be given another chance, I'd strongly advise you to go this route. Such requirements may even discourage her and make her go away. This is what happened in our case. Too many hoops to jump through, but meanwhile, the kids were protected emotionally, and there was no residual damage. You are definitely not the a-hole.
Maybe the grandparents should also go through something like that.
You cannot leave your kid alone with people you can't trust to follow your rules as parents. If you decide you want the grandparents to see their kid again, you'll have to do it at your home fully supervised. You cannot trust them to be alone with your son. That's clear now. If you let his mom back in his life and she relapses and leaves again, it will fuck him up forever. If she can hold down a stable job for 2 or 3 years while testing clean and your therapist thinks it's safe, only then should you try to have her meet him again. For now, ignore all outside input from family and just protect your kid. That's your job as parents. Not the a-hole. Not even a little tiny bit.
There's no question of him having contact with Kathy unless he brings it up. It's something we will only facilitate if he asks for it and his therapist at the time agrees that it's a good idea. We won't be pushing for contact with her.
Not the a-hole. Your son Freddie is the important one here. If he doesn't want to see his bio mom, then that's the end of the matter. I would get a lawyer to write a letter to the grandparents and Kathy, being very clear with them that she is not to try to contact Freddie again, and there will be no contact unless he wants there to be. I would rain fire and brimstone on Pam and Joe for this breach of trust and threaten them with complete exclusion if they try it again.
Am I the a-hole for not wanting to follow my sister-in-law's rules for her wedding and saying her insecurities aren't my fault? My female 27 brother, male 34, and his fiancée, female 31, are getting married soon. My husband and I got our invitation, all fine. However, this is the problem I am having with them. I'm not a bridesmaid in the bridal party because I have a baby, and as she's very young, for months now, and I was either pregnant with a newborn during most of the wedding planning, it was for the best. So I'm just a regular guest as everyone else, right? Well, my brother and his fiancée came over a few days after they sent the invitations because they wanted to talk to me. My future sister-in-law basically told me she has gotten a dress for me and she'll love for me to wear it for their wedding. I was kind of like, okay, thanks. But why? You know? At first she didn't want to tell me why they've chosen a dress for me, but finally she told me that I tend to draw too much attention to me. Last year, our other brother got married, and my future sister-in-law thinks that she doesn't want to risk having me show up similarly to their wedding. By the way, I wasn't wearing an inappropriate dress or white, anything like that. I was wearing a normal formal dress. I was very confused by this, and I asked what she meant, because as I said, I know how to dress up for a wedding. I reassured her she shouldn't worry about being outshined, because for starters it's her wedding day, and everyone will be paying attention to the bride and groom. And secondly, I won't wear an inappropriate dress with like too much cleavage or something. Her family is rather conservative, so I thought maybe she was more scared of her family's reactions. We discussed this for a while and she told me that the problem is my weight. She's a little overweight and I'm not, always had problems gaining weight, even while pregnant, so she feels insecure and that's why she wants me to wear a dress that would cover me completely. This is where I think I might be the a-hole. I told her that her insecurities were not my problem and that it was weird to ask me to wear a certain dress just because I'm skinnier than her. She told me that she knew I'd have this reaction because supposedly I always want to be the focus of attention. She also said that my life has always been easier and it's not fair that I want to steal her wedding day as well. I asked her if she was doing this with every other woman who was skinnier attending the wedding and she said no, so I told her that's a shitty move. We argued, and then my husband and brother got in between us too, so they argued as well, and finally we kicked them out, but not before I told them to enjoy their damn day because I wasn't attending the wedding, for which they accused me of being a drama queen and wanting to embarrass them by not going. Well, I'm more calm this, and this has caused quite a fight in our family as well. I admit that I was so tired and stressed that day because my baby had been sick all the prior day night. So I don't know, do you think I exaggerated here? Or were they truly rude to ask me something like this?
Not the a-hole, and I agree with your decision not to attend the wedding. Sister-in-law can give any explanation she wants for why you are not there, but I would definitely answer honestly if anyone asked why you didn't attend.
Oh, thanks. I feel a bit better about my decision now.
I would actually get ahead of the story and tell your parents' close family exactly what happened so they don't poison the well. The truth is the girl probably knows how ridiculous this is deep down and would never tell the truth about the situation.
I already told our family, to be honest. I was quite upset. LOL.
Info. What did the dress you wore to the other wedding look like? My impulse is to say not the a-hole because people shouldn't really police each other's dress like this. But I can't help but wonder if whatever you wore was more revealing than you're admitting in a way that might be offensive to the fiancé's family. Inappropriate for the dress code of the ceremony, if it's religious, etc.
It was a very appropriate dress, a formal dress with a V neckline, but not deep, and it was long. It was also deep blue. Literally no one thought it was inappropriate.
Could you post a link to the dress or a similar dress if it's no longer on sale? I'm guessing you're not the a-hole from the post and comments, but just to see what the type of dress is, if that makes sense.
It's very similar to this one, but without the sparkles. This is not the dress I wore. Mine is more simple, without all the sparks. It's just a regular long formal dress, and I was within the dress code.
Not the a-hole. I have 6 sisters-in-law. They are stunning and tall and blonde. I am not. I'm pretty but not the models my damned husband has for sisters. They were all my bridesmaids in flattering dresses. I knew they would look beautiful, but I would shine as it was my day marrying my darling love. Sister-in-law needs to remember what the wedding is really about. Edit. Having seen the dress, I can now understand somewhat where the sister-in-law is coming from.
In my opinion, I don't think anyone can ever outshine the bride even if they try. They'll just embarrass themselves because the wedding is about the bride and groom. Everyone's attention will be on them.
How can anyone outshine a couple in love declaring it to the world? Just don't announce a pregnancy or wear white, lol.
What do you think of these stories? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories.